Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, the Youth Roundtable is on. Welcome to Civic Space TV. This afternoon, our topic is youth unemployment and underemployment. Is e-commerce a solution during the lockdown and beyond? We know that employment, business, trade, commerce, and all these work a lot with human interaction. But with the pandemic and the attendant ways to curb the pandemic, many places of meeting and human interaction have been interrupted, and people have now been forced to turn to using digital platforms, using technology to keep interacting and doing business. Is this a solution or is it a challenge? There are people who argue that technology.
Can I be heard? Like I keep trying my sound and it doesn't seem to be
or moving. Yes, thank you. So this morning, I'm joined by a cross-cutting panel. We are joined by Pesh Ahumuza. Pesh is a digital marketing consultant and entrepreneur. Pesh, we are very glad to have you on board.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
That confirms we have you on board. We are also joined by Evans Stark. Evans Stark, a unique name there. Evans is also a digital marketer. I will call him an influencer. Evans, good to have you.
Thank you, moderator. I'm very glad to be here. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, but away from influencers, we are also joined by Council Owomugisha Blessing Immaculate. Owomugisha is the head of policy, research, and advocacy, Uganda National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Blessing, good to have you on the Youth Roundtable.
Can I be heard? Like I keep trying my sound and it doesn't seem to be
or moving. Yes, thank you. So this morning, I'm joined by a cross-cutting panel. We are joined by Pesh Ahumuza. Pesh is a digital marketing consultant and entrepreneur. Pesh, we are very glad to have you on board.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
That confirms we have you on board. We are also joined by Evans Stark. Evans Stark, a unique name there. Evans is also a digital marketer. I will call him an influencer. Evans, good to have you.
Thank you, moderator. I'm very glad to be here. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, but away from influencers, we are also joined by Council Owomugisha Blessing Immaculate. Owomugisha is the head of policy, research, and advocacy, Uganda National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Blessing, good to have you on the Youth Roundtable. Blessing, confirm that we have you aboard.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm very glad to be here.
Yes, glad to have you on board. Muyobo, I hope I pronounced his name well, is the marketing manager of Kikuubo Online.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, Blessing, we got you there. Yes, but we're also joined by Paul Muyobo. Paul Muyobo is the marketing manager of Kikuubo Online. Kikuubo Online has been doing some serious adverts through some popular character. We are glad to have you here. You tell us more, and you are going to pay Civic Space TV for the advert. I see in your background. Paul, it's good to have you.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to the wonderful deliberation in this meeting.
Yes, we are also joined by digital PR handler, Paul Webbs. Paul, good to have you.
Good to have you too. Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon. And lastly, but by no means least, is Turamuhawe Christine Joy. Turamuhawe runs a cleaning and facilities management services company. Welcome, Joy. Joy? Okay, Joy seems to be having a technical problem, so we shall start and Joy will find us along the line. So all of you, save for maybe Blessing, but since she's in research and is representing the Chamber of Commerce, I want to believe she understands the space, but all of you are in the digital space and in the area of e-commerce. So I'm going to give each one of you about 3 minutes for you to tell us what is e-commerce about. What is this e-commerce? Can you help us break it down? Because I know there are some of our viewers who are actually hearing this for the first time. So when we talk about e-commerce, what are we talking about? And I'm going to start with you, Paul Muyobo.
Yes, thank you very much. E-commerce, without putting a lot of jargon or using a lot of sophisticated language, is doing business through the enablement of the internet. That e-commerce started, I think, way back. Was it in the early 1990s with the emergence of the internet? So we saw companies like Amazon coming up, and then later on companies like Alibaba. And then for the context of Uganda, I think e-commerce came to Uganda as early as the late 2000s or so, if I am correct. And we've seen that internet has been a big enabler for people to do transact online. I'm able to list my items on a particular website, and I'm able to, those items that I've listed are able to be bought by someone who's not specifically in my area or within the location I am, but I am through the internet, I'm able to buy goods and services, and then I'm able to have those goods and services delivered to me. And the biggest thing about the e-commerce is convenience. So we've seen that e-commerce brings about convenience. So in a nutshell, using the internet to do business is what I would term as e-commerce for me. Thank you.
You need to be in order.
I think, Matanda, you're muted. Can't hear anything.
Oh, thank you for that heads up. Sorry. Yeah, I said thank you, Paul, for that submission. And that submission sends me to Pesh Ahumuza. Pesh, from what Paul has told us, it would seem like for you to qualify to be doing e-commerce, you have to be maybe actually doing your business online. Yet I know that you, who is in digital marketing, that would seem like just a form of advertising. Is that also e-commerce? Isn't that just another form of media like TV or radio? Is that also to commerce? What's the perspective from the end of digital marketing?
I believe that it's not just about selling, it's also giving a service. So you might be selling the goods, yes, you might have Amazon and the shops and whatnot, but you also have people who are doing online studies. So yes, it is a market space. So definitely there's going to be digital marketing. So definitely you're going to have people who are marketing themselves because you're putting yourself out there. You having a location somewhere in Kikuubo is you putting yourself out there. Yeah, it's you putting you marketing. It's the first product. It's the first step to you marketing your product. So the same thing with e-commerce. You putting yourself on the internet, of having a website, of having social media, of having an app. It's you putting yourself out there. So definitely, it kind of works together. E-commerce, digital marketing, everything kind of works together in my perspective. Yeah. Back to you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Pesh. Paul, you are in PR. So how is the perspective? How do you approach e-commerce? Do you just look at these digital platforms as an opportunity to reach out to many people and therefore work on the imaging and all that? Or do you agree with Paul and Pesh that e-commerce has a lot to do with, exchanging goods and services? So let's hear from you.
Oh, thank you very much, moderator. A good afternoon to everyone and my fellow panelists. Of course, I agree with the two panelists, Ahumuza and my colleague Paul. But as a PR handler, of course, everything goes back to communication. If you're talking about e-commerce, then there should be an intriguing kind of point of view that will entice people to, call to action. So when we're talking about selling a product or a service, we shall definitely have to streamline communication at the forefront. How are you telling the people about the product or service? So as a communication, kind of specialist, I would think I would also add on communication on the already mentioned point of service and selling of goods and products or services. So as a PR handler, I really, really treasure communication in terms of intriguing or, enticing the audience that you're having, that you're communicating to about a certain product or a service so that they can get acquainted to it. Back to you, moderator.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. And I now come to you, Blessing Owomugisha. The people who have spoken before you are all in the space of digital marketing, but you who is at the Chamber of Commerce, I believe that Uganda is still very much analog, and I want to believe most of the businesses you interact with are actually not engaged in e-commerce. That's what I think. Is that the position? Is it true, the impression we are getting from the panelists here, that e-commerce is now trending, it's the thing to go, or is it just a small group of people who are trying to create an impression that we have moved, whereas not?
Thank you so much, Mr. Matanda. Maybe to just give you a clarity in regards to the business in Uganda. It is indeed true that e-commerce is trending and it's the way to go because you are now in the business revolution where at the end of the day, take an example of now in the pandemic where people are not able to meet, people are not able to move from one place to another. The only way they can access the goods and services that they need is through digital access, digital marketing, digital deliveries, in Uganda are still, the most have gone with the e-commerce is maybe a website that is not well developed, that they just use maybe, and it's something that we're yet to derive into and get to benefit from. But companies that have actually taken an initiative to get their social medias running, their media like websites running, they have actually benefited from it heavily. We will give an example. Right now we are discussing on how we can digitalize the products that are in Uganda due to the barriers that are on the borders of Uganda. There's so many barriers in line with diseases, in line with crossing over, but yet you can still get a good that you want to get from Kenya if you're able to identify it on the markets now using the digital spaces that are provided. So I think this is a very good, it's a conversation that is ongoing, but it's a very good start for all the other companies and businesses in Uganda to be exposed to e-commerce, because this is the real deal now. This is where we get all the businesses that we need. This is where we identify new tools and technologies that we're going to use to develop our products and our services, and even get a lot of access to the markets that we have. Case in point is that if you are physically looking for markets everywhere, you'll probably get 100 of the people that you are trying to target. But if you're using online marketing, you're able to meet over 1 million people across the world that you didn't even intend to get to. So at the end of the day, when you look at the advantage and the disadvantage of online marketing and maybe e-commerce, it has a very, very bigger good that it plays in the market systems in Uganda today.
Okay, thank you very much, Blessing. And finally to you, Stark Evans. You have decided to fully style yourself as an influencer, as a digital marketer, and you know that one of the greatest challenges we have in this country that we are discussing today is unemployment and underemployment. Would you encourage a youth out there? Would you describe the space you're in as one that has many employment opportunities, or are they just for a few of you? Do you see that space as a space that can take on the bulk of the very many young people in the country? Are you there by choice and seeing opportunities, or is it something that you found yourself having to do because of no choice?
Oh, thank you, moderator. Good afternoon once again. Good afternoon to everyone who is here and who is watching over there. Thank you, moderator, for that question. I think I would like to use this word because I'm the perfect example. Before COVID, I had a good paying job. I think Mr. Powebs knows where I was working before COVID. Everything was going on well until COVID came in. So when COVID came in, some businesses had to stop. Other people had to lose their jobs, what and what. So before I was influencing, I was doing it as a part-time job. I would, influence for big companies, but during my free time. So I was not giving it 100% effort. So when COVID came in, I didn't have anything, any other thing to do. So I had to go fully in digital marketing or in influencing. So that is first or significant, cause, because it helped me. Now I depend 100% on influencing for these past 2 years. So it is a great importance, influencing and e-commerce. And to take you back, I think this COVID has, I would say, has opened many Ugandans and to this e-commerce thing, because people usually they would go physically to buy something or what and what. Another thing, they didn't trust that thing of buying something online. But right now, I think it's the way to go. It's the way to go. People have really now have big trust in these things of buying things online and what, and that is a good thing for us where to go. And back to the question, to the employment thing and unemployment thing, I think it has really helped us. Those people are working in delivering things from a store to their delivery points. Now back to us for doing as influencing, and even these TVs and what, they have been given jobs, to do what, to market and do that and this. Yeah, thank you. That's what I think, and it's a way to go, because this is the only thing to do. I don't think even after COVID, like it's real or it has gone, we are going to go back to where we used to be. Now things have, people have taken this into the, it is really working. That's all I can say. Thank you, moderator.
Mr. Matanda, I think you're mute.
Okay, thank you very much, Stark Evans. And I will return to you, Paul Muyobo. I know that the government of Uganda has made some efforts to improve the policy, legal, and even institutional framework for e-commerce. And for instance, we have an electronic transactions law that seeks to define and regulate the space of e-commerce. There are also, however, people who argue that the government of Uganda does not seem to be very cognizant of how important e-commerce is. As we speak today, Facebook is still closed. As we speak today, just this month, government introduced a tax on the use of data. How is it on your end, you who is in the arena? Is the policy, the legal and institutional framework in the country, is it supportive of e-commerce? Are there challenges? Let's hear from you.
Thank you, moderator. The context of e-commerce in Uganda in relation to regulation and the government and government policies, well, I would say that well, the government has really tried to advocate for some of these policies. I think it is finding it hard to balance between censoring the internet users, and also running a government based on the government trying to run based on some of its policies. You may find that we have the Ministry of ICT, and it has all these good policies that all these good policies which are meant for the growth of the e-commerce industry. We also have bodies like NIRA, which come in to regulate but the government sometimes, I don't know what happens, but sometimes it shoots itself in the foot, because if you're going to enable, if you're going to foster e-commerce growth, then internet needs to be, first of all, fairly priced or affordable for all. You probably don't need to tax it because you're going to cut out a certain section of internet users who are not able to afford the tax. If you're going to make that internet expensive to access, then there'll be a section which of the public or of Ugandans who will not be able to access some of these services and some of these e-commerce sites. So while we appreciate the oversight role of the government as e-commerce companies, I think a lot more needs to be done in terms of benchmarking and doing some studies, especially on how the internet and the cost of internet is affecting the number of internet users in relation to e-commerce. If you look at other global markets and other countries, you'll find that internet is actually free. It is a service which is, is been made free. You go to a cafe and the internet is free. You don't have to pay for it. You go to a public institution, the internet is free. If you're talking of a monthly subscription data plan or internet data plan, it is actually free. It has become so normal in these countries, like as it is in Uganda. If you're paying for an electricity bill, okay, I spend so much, maybe 30,000 on electricity in a month, and then maybe another 20,000 on water, on the water bill, maybe then another 30,000 on the internet bill. So if the government comes in to play, especially oversight role for these telecom companies in terms of subsidizing the internet price, I'm sure that we will begin seeing astronomical growth for e-commerce. We still continue to work under these conditions because I think Ugandans are a resilient lot, and I'm sure that the government is looking into this and is finding all possible ways to make the internet more cheaper and more affordable for all, to be able to enable some of these services, not only for e-commerce companies, but also the internet enables, especially now that we're in the pandemic, it enables e-learning, it enables e-government services and things like that. So having, and the reason why there's the internet and all of these government services is to bring these services closer to the people, to make them more accessible for the people. And so if we have internet that is subsidized, that is affordable for all, then the government will cut down on its communication budgets, because communication over the internet is cheaper as compared to circulating maybe, say, newspapers or physical or physical outreach. So some of these efforts by the government to make the internet cheaper and to also bring the services closer to its e-government services, I think is one way that the government is realizing that the internet is actually a big enabler of many things apart from e-commerce. Back to you, moderator.
Okay, thank you very much for that account. And now to you, Pesh. Paul has painted a picture that suggests that government still has a long way to go in creating an enabling environment. And he actually threw praises to the people, saying Ugandans are very resilient, and maybe I would add very receptive lot. That's not what I seem to see. What I seem to see on my end, like Evans hinted, is that people have a lot of suspicion for online transactions. I've actually seen memes that mock how you can say very nice shirt or dress online, and then when you buy it, it's not quite as good. But beyond that, I also know that our society, if we are to look at internet penetration and the number of gadgets in circulation, we are not very digital, are we? So what is your experience with the population away from government? Is the population ready for e-commerce?
So I think in 2019, we had, as influencing for an event by the African Tax Administration Forum, and they were talking about, and they were looking for ways to tax e-commerce, yeah? But how are you going to tax something that people barely know? Because Ugandans, the very few Ugandans do have online businesses. And even those that have online businesses, there are very few of them who understand digital marketing to actually be able to boost their businesses. So first, before we start taxing people, before we go through all these things that the government can, we first have to educate people. Ugandans need to be educated about e-commerce. Because up to now, I mean, I have experience in teaching, and I am very sure the schools which are teaching people entrepreneurship and whatnot, they haven't tapped into online marketing. So how are you going to be putting out these students who barely know anything about e-commerce in a world that is running on e-commerce right now? Everything is digital right now. We are in a pandemic. This is the second year. And you are still teaching the basic entrepreneurship without like tools that are going to teach people about e-commerce, about digital marketing, you're not doing the right thing. Yeah, because technology is changing very fast. By the time we catch up with where we are right now, the world will be very far ahead because e-commerce keeps changing every other day. Earlier, we thought it was just going to be online shops. Yeah, you have Jumia, you have Amazon and whatnot. But now we have people we have farmers going digital. We have teachers going digital. We have a lot of services. We have doctors. We have rocket health. So there's so many things that are going digital, but our systems, our education systems are still stuck in the traditional systems. So until we address that, there's nothing that's going to change. I mean, of course, e-commerce will still have its own problems, just like the digital, the traditional marketing, the traditional way of life had its problems. Of course, e-commerce will always have that what I bought and what I bought and what I got, that whole thing of like you not getting the right thing. Of course, it's going to always be there because scammers are always going to be there. But how do you educate people about these things? There's no one who's educating these things. Yeah. So until we tap into educating the masses, nothing is going to change. I believe that. Back to you.
So you agree with me, or if I'm getting you right, you're saying whereas e-commerce is the thing and it's the way to go, the bulk of the population of Uganda is not yet ready to participate in e-commerce. Is that do you agree with that, Paul Webbs? Yeah, because we have heard from Paul Muyobo, who is saying government has a long way to go. Now, Pesh is telling us the people also have a long way to go. And you people are encouraging us to go into this space. Are you not setting us up?
Well, thank you, moderator. I definitely agree with my two colleagues. When it comes to government, I think they have failed us. We would have the best internet offer like TZ has right now, but we still have the problem of the technocrats in the government coming up with different taxes on internet and very high cost of airtime and gadgets. So all those are just things that are taking us back in terms of digital migration that they claim to always love in Uganda. And then, of course, I also believe that the people are few, apparently, but we are not doing badly off as it might, look. Apparently, we have like over 15% of the Ugandans with smartphones. So what does that mean? It means if the internet is subsidized, people can actually utilize, the gadget to do e-commerce. We have a few people, though, as compared to our sisters in Kenya or Tanzania, but still, I believe that if we have enablers, like if government can come up with better enabling policies, let's look at the internet pricing and service providers in the internet or networks, telecoms, we could have maybe a rise in the subscription of the Ugandans on the online. So I believe that even when we have a hiccup on the number of people on the internet, if we can have better capacity building structures, we teach people, because apparently even the people who are online are not using it appropriately. We have cyberbullying every time. There's a lot of cacophony on the internet because of the influx of young people who are probably not interested in marketing, but they are on the internet with different purposes. So I believe if we can channel our purposes of these young people towards, development and e-commerce, it will be a good venture. Even when we have problems of the government, enforcing OTT and everything, whatnot, I believe we can definitely have, a huge blow up. And definitely, if we have very many subscribers, there is definitely business, because internet, rather digital marketing and e-commerce is all about numbers. How many people do you have? How many can you convince to a call to action? So I believe if we can maybe get more people people interested on into online marketing, we can have a call to action, maybe have, this business all blow up. And I believe this will happen because we all hope for the best in the future. Back to you, moderator.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. To Blessing, I know that the Uganda Chamber of Commerce has as its main objective the ambition to promote and protect the interests of the business community. And so far, you have heard what is being said of the government attitudes and the status quo when it comes to people's preparedness. Are there any efforts to improve this? Is this something that the chamber and maybe other players, since you are in the research and policy, are there any attempts to curb this, or the issues which have been raised here, are we waiting for them to solve themselves? So are there interventions? And if any, please share.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matanda. Maybe to highlight on what Paul and Pesh hinted on earlier along, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the readiness of the Ugandan people to take in e-commerce. Past people will go online and do this. Yes, I agree that they do that, but we are not intentional about training Ugandans to be able to appreciate the need and the value of e-commerce generally. Not because when we talk about e-commerce, we're not only talking about being able to sell one or two things, sell a product that we do not have on market. Because I have gone to internet, like you rightly put, and people are selling things. It is easy for someone who is very good at marketing to come and sell something that they actually do not have. And once they tell them to deliver it, they actually deliver something exactly the opposite of what you've been saying you actually have. So we have lost a lot of trust. Even the little trust that you're trying to build, Ugandans have not been able to sustain it because we do not take it either seriously or we want short-term money. So me as an influencer, if I come on board and I'm being paid a lot of money for what I'm supposed to do, have I taken the initiative to know that the client I'm representing is actually selling what I am trying to tell the public to buy? So if you're saying that this is a very nice store, you can check out their shoes, the original Adidas, and then I pick a shoe and then it is a duplicate, it is over priced, it's overhyped, it kills the confidence and the trust in the people to be able to even appreciate e-commerce at all in Uganda. And that is what happens. In Uganda, we just open stores online. We say, for example, we are selling this, we sell the other, and then when someone orders, they actually get the exact opposite of what they order for. So it's not about Ugandans failing to appreciate. It's even the people that are using the e-commerce, the ability to be able to run with the trend, but be able to improve the quality of whatever they're saying that they're actually selling. So for me as an individual, that is where I start from. For the few people that online, every day there's a new company that is going to come on board that claims it is doing this and the other, and yet it is doing the exact opposite. What are we doing different? What are the influencers doing different? Because I know that there are very many. Here we have like 5 influencers, but they're out there on the market, on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook. They're trying to sell particular things. Some they are not even sure they work. Some they're just selling because, it's bringing extra money. So what happens after you have sold whatever you're trying to sell? Are you providing the right commodity in its quality, in its quantity, like you have actually said it works? Because you can't build a brand on a foundation. You can't build e-commerce on a lie. You can't keep saying that we're trying to, bring on board this. They have not yet appreciated this, but we are killing it with the foundations that you're trying to build. If you're saying that you deliver in 10 minutes, are you able to actually deliver in 10 minutes? If you're saying that you're selling this, are you actually trying to sell it? Or you're trying, for you're doing your part as an influencer and then it goes back to the whole company. So the structures that you're trying to build towards e-commerce might be a bit different from the structures that people are successfully taking on to actually build e-commerce in the different states. Back to I think Paul is the one who mentioned it about the policies in Uganda. Uganda is known to have the best policies in the world, actually, on paper. It's not, the implementation is the problem. Uganda has, it, leave alone, I know we talk about the tax that has just been introduced, and which of course suffocates the movement of e-commerce. And e-commerce is not just online marketing, the sale of goods, the movement, the exposure and everything. But as of before that tax, it actually had Uganda, you would easily log anything on the Ugandan systems and you're able to move it wherever you want to move it without any major restrictions. There are many countries that actually have restrictions. My thing is on the implementation part of it. It might come through that you actually have policies that you've not yet even appreciated, but implementation comes from, one, the government, two, the players on the market, three, the recipient. What are they trying to do to make sure that our businesses, our trade, our services grow through the use of e-commerce? And for me, I discourage, of course, I know that the government's main thing is that they want taxes because, you know, it's money that pays politicians, it's money that pays, builds roads, assumably, and does so many things. So they end up adding tax to almost everything, not just on e-commerce. They have literally added taxes on almost everything. If you're plating your hair, there's a tax on it. If you're buying lipstick, there's a tax on it. There's tax everywhere. But their main role is, one, that they need to do more sensitization on e-commerce. What are the benefits? There's a gentleman who has just mentioned that people are online and they're just, you know, throwing abuses and, you know, memes and abusing each other. I think if someone could come out and, you know, spell out that, you know, if you actually join this, you can benefit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I will appreciate that, oh, while I'm spending my data on throwing these not very important things, I can utilize my data to build my own system, to build my own network. We were discussing with friends of mine about the 40 days of mentorship by Kabshenga, and Kabshenga has almost 1,000 people that listen into his space. And this is something that, anyway, he doesn't earn from, he's just giving back to society. But imagine an individual came and tapped into the same space, because Twitter provides the same space, Facebook provides the same space, Instagram provides the same space, even on your website, it provides the same space. If someone identified that, you know, there is here something that I can tap into, I can actually educate people about online marketing, I can actually build markets. I know that Pesh is running something on markets, something that people come and, you know, talk about their products and the advantages, and, you know, they get to do the sales. And I think it is working out so well. But I think that information we lack as Ugandans. So on the part of the players, everyone in business, I know that there are over 1 million young people who have opened up, you know, businesses. This person is doing shirts, this person is doing earphones, this person is doing what, and they're always online, but they can't even post their own products on their own WhatsApp status. So whom do you expect to do it for you? You can't even post on your own handle. You've not been able to identify that you need to post particular things, build your own brand. If you've opened up media handles, what are you doing with the media handles? I've seen people personalize their media handles. You know, they get pissed and then they move to the business handles, and then they are posting, you know, personal conflict things on their business handles. But that's not how business works. E-commerce, you have to go from foundation to foundation. You move to, I have built my own system. This is how I'm going to create content. This is how I'm going to make sure that I have quality of my products. This is how I'm going to deliver it. This is the feedback I'm going to innocently take in, and I'm going to improve on the quality of work that I give. Now, lastly, it is on the feedback, the recipients, us. Have you to sensitize us that at times people order for stuff online and what they have been duped? There's a lot that is going on, but for you to be able to set a standard, for you to be able to come out and they say that, you know, this person is having an online business, or this person is transacting online. If I have ordered for something and I'm in the US and you said it takes 1 week. Let it take 1 week. It can't take longer than that. So everyone has a role to play. The government has a role play, yes, but what happens if the government is not playing the role? They're not in charge of all the network in the world. You can still go beyond the government and be able, to penetrate the systems and the markets through your own e-commerce. What happens to you, the players, the business people, the people in service? What role are you playing? And us as the recipients, how have we informed ourselves? How have we been able to take care of that e-commerce? So for me, that's what I have to say.
Wow, thank you very much, Blessing. That was a very serious lecture for us there. Whereas we were looking at government and the people, you just picked the whole responsibility and threw it back at us. And, Evans, you're next in line. So you see that the ball has come and it's very hot. Blessing is telling us that, yes, government, policy, people, but then, as those of us, as the pioneers who are already in the space, are we doing enough to sensitize the people? Are we being integrous with our work? Is what we are projecting to the world what we present? So you earlier on alluded to the fact that before these lockdowns, you had, I assume, a very well-paying analog job. And now you're in the digital space. So I have two questions for you. One, so far, does it match what you had, or should people stick with their brick and mortar? Would you say what you are in now is better, is more fulfilling or more paying than what you are doing previously? In other words, if the previous job availed itself again, would you go back or would you stay here? Secondly, what do you speak to the fact that there are challenges, as were highlighted by Paul and Pesh, but Blessing is saying, well, those challenges are there, but you're also not doing enough. What do you say to that? Do you go through, have you seen these very challenges, and how have you responded to them?
Oh, thank you, moderator. Thank you once again. The first question you asked me, I think I am doing better, much better than I was doing at the start. So I'm giving it, a trust. Yeah, so I have a belief that where we are going, we are all going to benefit from this thing. Okay, so another thing, when the previous job show up once again, I may turn it down because I am learning more each and every day, because I joined this space to learn, and I'm very much learning. I'm still learning. So I think in the near future, I will be someone else, or I will have learned something much different from what I have right now. So it's a process. I am still growing. So the next question you asked me, as a country, we still have much more to do. Be it government, be it an individual, be it us who are in real arena of this e-commerce, we still have a lot to do. For example, like Blessing mentioned, if you really, we have to, how should I say it? We have to give e-commerce the true meaning it is, or it deserves. For example, if you're saying you're selling an iPhone 8, for example, specifics like 32 GB of storage, which that, like such thing of that, let it be the same thing as the final consumer who's going to receive that good and commodity. Yeah, so that is the only way to build trust from the people who are in real thing, and to the final consumer who is still doubting this thing. So for us, we are like you said, the pioneers. The only thing to do is to give the best, the quality, give the best thing. And for the with the case of government, I think like Paul Webb said, and Mr. Paul, the other Paul, it's all about, making internet affordable to everyone. It goes back to, for example, these service providers giving the best internet or giving the best network deep down to the village. Because even when you go even to the village, for example, where I come from, I have few people who can access internet, but due to this network problem, you may find they are limited to because of that. So I think it goes back to that. When the government, for example, makes the internet best for all, affordable to everyone, then the service providers also improve on their network. Like someone to get internet 24/7, it will help us. Because, for example, you open Twitter when you, it's like, for example, Twitter is not a marketplace, but you go there, you find someone selling a shoe. But on that moment, you don't need anything like a shoe. But in near future, just because you saw somewhere, like for example, Paul Webb's was advertising for a shoe, but in near future, you feel like now I need this kind of shoe. So that's where it comes in. So it is helping you, not in the real sense of time, but because someone said it way back, now it is paying off. So the internet should be much more affordable to each and everyone. And the government, these taxes we are, receiving and what, I think the government has seen that maybe more people have now resorted to online marketing and what. So they are trying to milk each and everything. So for example, in previous years, people would just go on internet just and what. So, but right now, I think the internet has seen people are moving not so fast, but they are moving in. They are really trusting the movement of, e-commerce, e-learning, and all sorts of online things. So I think that's why they are, bringing all these sorts of taxes. But I think they should, if they want this thing to, to go on or to grow, they have to rethink and say that if these people have been, for example, we've been paying 200 Ugandan shillings on a daily basis, but they have just increased to 12%. But we've been also that 200 Ugandan shillings, we've been struggling. But now, if you can raise and make it 12%, the question is everyone who is everyone is going to afford that 12%? And if not, it means as the country we are going downwards. Okay, we are going down. So it goes back to the government. It is a general. Really in arena, like producing the real quality you are advertising for. And another thing, like for us who are influencers, I think the best way to do our thing is one, to study. When a client comes to you, we have to do much more thorough research about the product so that it does not backfire in the near future. Yeah, thank you, the moderator. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Evans. We are back for Muyobo, and we have apportioned responsibility. Sort of everyone has had what they are supposed to do, but I now want to switch this discussion to something else. There were mentions of it, but I want us to cast a greater torch on it, and that's the incidence of cybercrime and fraud. First of all, of course, some of these things exist in our society. We only have to deal with the society we have. We know that even in the physical interactions, the brick and mortar commerce that we have always done, these fake products and you know, presenting brands, counterfeits, has always been with us. So maybe this is something that we are exporting to the e-commerce space. But even with that, the e-commerce space seems to also come with its own very strong presence of cybercrime and fraud. So you who are in this space, what would be your advice to the consumer, someone who is watching and is very suspicious of e-commerce? What are some of the ways I can be able to know that, you know, this is Kikuubo Online, it's an authentic brand, and whatever they're going to deliver to me is a good product, and then look at another and say, no, this must be a counterfeit? What are the pointers? What are usually the signs? What are the things to look out for such that we don't fall victim of cybercrime and fraud?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. With the internet comes all sorts of course, there are people that are always trying to take advantage of something good, to find a loophole in the system or to bypass, you know, the people that are always trying to act contrary to the set standards and rules. We still, for the internet spaces and digital spaces, we have things like cybercrime, cyberbullying, fraud. So the government has put in place, I think, an act, the Computer Misuse Act, and some of these cybercrime and cyberbullying are able to be, the perpetrators are able to be prosecuted under some of these acts. But then, when it comes to e-commerce, there's still a lot to do in terms of ensuring that there are quality products, in terms of ensuring that there's confidence, and also ensuring that, you know, people pay for what they actually, if you want a shirt or if you want a particular product, that the product that we are advertising as an e-commerce company is exactly the same product that you get when you receive it. I'll speak just in the context for Kikuubo Online. First, they will ensure that someone pays for what they order for. First, it all comes down to how you structure the company, an e-commerce company. As Kikuubo Online, we're not vendor based. So the reason we're not vendor based is because there's a lot of headache when it comes to when you're dealing with vendors. They'll give you. I had a bad experience once. I shopped on some online company. I bought a phone, and it was supposed to be a genuine Samsung product. But then when I received the product, it turned out to be a high copy, and then it is very hard to convince that company that, you know what, this product that you sold to me is a counterfeit. You know, they might even threaten you and say, you know what, you may forfeit the whole money because we've checked and the product passed all our tests and it is actually an original Samsung product. But then the truth is, it is a high copy, and so there are some of these challenges as e-commerce companies that we continue to face and grapple with. Back to the context of Kikuubo Online, we do not deal with vendors because it is a headache, first of all, and also you cannot ensure quality. First of all, that's the other thing. You cannot ensure quality when you're dealing with vendors. So as Kikuubo Online, all of our products, we stock all of our products, all of our 3,500 products in a warehouse. And the prerequisite for listing those products is the supplier has to be certified by UNBS. The product has to have the Q mark, the quality mark, to ensure to show the consumers that this product is actually certified by UNBS. And that's why we are able to give confidence, first of all, to our customers that all of our products are certified by UNBS, and therefore they are quality products. The other thing that we do is to ensure quality is we try to, as much as possible, to take very clear pictures, and we also put these product descriptions. If you are buying a carton, we ensure that all the carton prices are clearly marked. If you're buying a piece, that there's also a description for a piece. if you're buying for 3 pieces, there's a distinction between retail and wholesale, because we are both a retail platform and an online platform. So we distinctly mark these areas or these products, and then such that the consumer is able to make an informed decision on what they want to buy. And then in terms of ensuring that they pay for what that you pay, there are some companies where you pay before you receive, but then the problem with that is sometimes you pay and then you never receive your good or your item or your product. As Kikuubo Online, we try to ensure that, or we try to encourage that you pay when you've received your goods, even though in terms in the area that we're working or in the context that we're working, in terms of COVID-19 and the pandemic, that becomes a bit hard, especially if you're handling cash. But then we've put in place things like mobile money, that when you receive your goods, you verify them that, oh, okay, I ordered for so many items and so many cartons or so many pieces, or I ordered for a carton of soda, or was it a can of biscuits? Okay, so these are it, and this is my total bill is 20,000. So after you verified that and the quantities, then you are able to pay either by cash or by mobile money, and that way, that when we continue working like that, it gives our customers confidence, and to show them that e-commerce actually works, and that way we are able to reduce the risk for our customers, because e-commerce is a bit of a risky business, especially for both the players and the stakeholders in terms of transactions, especially if you're thinking of electronic transactions. There's card payments, there's and all these cashless transactions. What gives the consumer or the customer confidence that if I'm buying something maybe off Amazon or Jumia or Kikuubo Online or Safe Border, and I'm paying by mobile money, what is a guarantee that I'll receive my goods or I'll receive the item that I've ordered for? So making these as e-commerce companies, making sure that customers actually get what they've actually paid for in the time that they ordered for. If you say, as Kikuubo Online, we deliver in 24 hours, so it is the mandate is upon us as Kikuubo Online to actually meet the delivery within 24 hours. Anything less than that begins to be a bit of a problem. Of course, there are other factors which come into play. If you say 24 hours, but then we're dealing with infrastructure and maybe the roads are bad and there's traffic jam and all these things. So you find that maybe we, as an e-commerce company, we're not meeting that timeline, but then we try as much as possible to meet the timeline and give the confidence to our customers that, oh, actually e-commerce works, and and convenience is the biggest part. And that when you buy products from Kikuubo Online, the products will come as they are and they have quality, because all the products are certified by UNBS. And that way, as Kikuubo Online, we're able to make the business work that way.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
You were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying that I've had a lot to do with the due diligence that Kikuubo or indeed any other viable online platform should go through to ensure that they deliver. But I'm still interested in hearing from you what I should look out for as a consumer, because some of those back-end things as a consumer I may not know. For example, a consumer may not be able to differentiate that this site is depending on vendors and this one is actually selling the goods itself. That difference may not be clear to us. For us, what we see is a product and we want to order for that product. So my question is, as a consumer, what are some of the things to look out for in order for me to be able to protect myself from counterfeit?
Yeah, well, first of all, the products that you will list as Kikuubo Online, or as a consumer, you're able to protect yourself if the products you are ordering for, first of all, products which everyone knows about, or everyone, like as Kikuubo Online, we deal in fast-moving consumer products. So one way you can know is, okay, if I want BB soap, or if I want something that it is something that I can get off Kikuubo Online, and that if we say we're delivering in 24 hours, it is a red flag if after 24 hours you do not receive your goods. That's something. So delivery timelines and the promises that all these e-commerce companies make, that how many people have been using their service? Is it something that is commonly used? If you have been, their policies as an e-commerce company, like a return policy, you look through their return policy or their refund policy, that if I'm not able to pay, if I've paid, say, beforehand, what does their return policy say? What does their refund policy say? So those are some of the things that you need to look out first before, as an online consumer, those are some of the things that you need to look out first before you actually use the site. And also check for security. If, for example, website does not have HTTPS, and yet it is going to transact, it allows online transaction through mobile money or e-commerce. That's also a red flag for consumers to look out for. And then I think that's about it for consumers. Back to you, moderator.
Okay, thank you very much. Hopefully we shall be more alert. To you, Paul Webbs, we heard from Uganda.
Matanda will join in shortly. You possibly it's a network glitch, so you need to be a little patient with him. So should be able to join in.
Hello. Sorry, I met some of the challenges of e-commerce. Just found myself out of the room. I hope you are on course. Have you just been waiting, or was there something going on?
We have actually been waiting for you to come back.
Okay, thank you very much. So before I went off, I was putting a question to you, Paul Webbs, that Uganda Manufacturers Association has asked its membership to tone down on the quantities that they produce because the downtown markets are closed. And I was just stating that, you know what this means. This means loss of employment for the various people in the value chain. This means loss of market for those who are making what are used as raw materials. We have already seen flooding of matoke in Western Uganda. So a lot of what we have talked about here seems like e-commerce. Most of the opportunities discussed here seem to talk about you, the influencers, the ones in marketing, and then the retail shops. How about the producer? What can they do? The people who are in production? Do they also now have to join these digital platforms and put their products there? Of course, I don't know what that means for those running Pesh Kikuubo Online that is doing retail sales. Or how can they make sure that they don't have to cut production? Are there opportunities for producers, for manufacturers?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, moderator. I believe there are opportunities everywhere for everybody online. The only challenge is how you can strategically position yourself to seize this opportunity and make a living out of it. For UMA, yeah, we have like Kikuubo apparently is coordinating, is working directly with the producers and manufacturers. So what does that mean? It means that Kikuubo Online sees the opportunity, stood into the right path and sees the opportunity which the producers that are actually supplying did not utilize when that time was. So especially those ones who have been laid off to also, because now you realize that since COVID came in, there has been a lot of layoffs and people have lost many jobs. Apparently, we are working from home, like I can see in the background. I'm at my house, and it means everybody has felt the pinch of the corona pandemic. But then, how do you position yourself to get a better version of the pandemic, utilize and maybe exploit the opportunity that can come by, and that is e-commerce. If you have a product, why wouldn't you position yourself online and then sell to the online audiences? Well, we should accept that we have very few subscribers Ugandans online, but still there is market there, and there is something good about online in that you can have recommendations through reviews. If somebody has bought a product from, let's say, Kikuubo Online today, if I bought it there and it is a good product and affordable, I will recommend it to a brother of mine from this neighborhood, probably my neighbor here. So, like, there is a lot of opportunity that these people should face. We cannot stay in the same box. We shall now start thinking out of the box in a way that if you're producing something, especially perishables, you talked of the matoke that is in the Western Uganda. You know, there should be some youth there who will versed with the online, bit of marketing. And instead of selling a bunch of matoke the other side at 500, you could have to supply it to Kampala and sell it at 10,000 or 8,000. That is, over more than normal profits. Those are abnormal profits for you. So I think it's about time that we woke up and we utilize the digital marketing channels to curb certain problems like the influx of like the problem of the matoke in the West, and maybe the producers who have been laid off by UMA. So I think we should really start thinking out of the box at the moment, because the pandemic is not going any soon. It seems by the time it came, we thought it would be like for 2 weeks or 3, but now we are into 2 years. What does that mean? It means we have now to adopt the channels of how we can curb the market, and by using online media channels. I think that is what I think as me. Back to you, moderator.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul, for that piece of advice. I'm just imagining a youth in Western Uganda. I don't know how practical it is for them to market their talk online. they are hearing. I hope someone takes it up. But to you, Pesh, as you may realize, we are almost moving to the end of this discussion. And we have looked at the challenges, we have looked at the opportunities. But if you may permit me now, we have been speaking a bit generally. I want us now to be a bit specific. If I'm a young person who saw this flyer talking of underemployment and unemployment, and I came to this space to see which opportunities are there for employment for me, I want us now to speak to that young person who is seeking employment. Where do they start? How do they start? You people already in these spaces, how did you find yourselves there? Yeah, to you, Pesh.
That's a tough one, advising young ones when you also still try to figure it out. But I'll speak, for instance, for influencers. If you are trying to penetrate the influencers market, the first thing you should do is networking. I believe if you want to take your foot into e-commerce, into digital marketing, whatever, you need to network, because you need people to be able to vouch for you in the long run. Those people, that crowd that you create, that is the first crowd that is going to be able to support you. That's the first crowd that's going to vouch for you. So, for example, if you look at Facebook, there is this platform called Tried and Tasted, something like that. So usually people go there to like bash and talk and review businesses that have actually done the wrong things to them. So if you have a good network of people online, they are going to come and fight for you online. They're going to say, no, that is not a product. You're lying. Let's say if someone doesn't like your product, or probably they got the right product, but they're just against you one way or the other. There's a certain group of people that's going to show up for you. So networking is very, very important. The other thing is research. Do a lot of, for example, if you have an idea of, let's say, I own a perfume shop, yeah? So before I go online to start selling perfume, you need to do all the research online that before you go online. Let's say the other people who already have perfume shops, right? I'm not the first person to do it. So definitely they are sharing their stories, because online e-commerce people are sharing stories. They're not just putting products out there. They're also sharing the stories of how they're going to get where they're going. It's not like going to, let's say, Owino Market, and you don't know how that person started with one bedsheet and now they have a whole boutique down there. But online, there are stories, because people use that as content. Tap into that, educate yourself, do as much research as you need before you start that shop. I heard you talking about someone in Ibarra shop selling their mat. Okay, you can actually do that. Use WhatsApp, yeah? Post it on WhatsApp and then share it with the other contacts on WhatsApp so that they can share that with you. So it has a lot to do with networking. It has a lot to do with research. If you are not willing to do that, then marketing online, selling your things online, basically e-commerce, is going to be very hard for you. Yeah, that's what I think. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. To you, Blessing, please speak to that young person. I know that for you, you already started on this in some of your earlier submissions, but maybe we can now focus it a little bit more. We have really blown the trumpet for e-commerce. So the young person watching this who is seeking for opportunities for employment, or who wants to jump out of unemployment or underemployment, where do they start? Blessing, are you on? Okay, Blessing seems to have an issue. So possibly we can hear from you, Evans, as we try to get Blessing. A young person who wants to join the space you are in, where do they start? Do they need connections? Do they need a lot of capital? What do they need? Where do you start?
Thank you, moderator. I would say nothing much that is required to join our space as an influencer or digital marketing. It's just all understanding the concept of what you want to do, the determination and the love of it. You cannot just be doing it for fun. You won't make it. You have to be determined and you know exactly what you're doing. For example, like other speakers mentioned, or for example, if you manage to get a contract with a company or for advertising their goods, you have to understand more that company, what they are doing, their don'ts and do's, so such thing like that. And like I said, if you want to be perfect, like everyone who has made it, they have given it time. You have to give internet time, not only on Twitter. People earning on TikTok, people earning on YouTube, people earning on Instagram and Facebook. So the opportunities are everywhere.
Evans,
yes?
Evans, if I can interrupt you a little bit here. Most of those
Yes.
platforms you have mentioned, it seems like for one to succeed as an influencer, you need to have a big following. And I've seen people employing different tricks, creating several, I don't know whether you people call it bots, several accounts. You know, you follow yourself. On Twitter, I see some people who use other means. Maybe someone posts some attractive photos and asks for likes. You know, so yeah, speak to that as well. You're talking about entering a contract with a company, but before that contract, what would make me eligible for a contract for a company to consider me for such a contract? How do I build that influence?
Okay, thank you, moderator. I think to build that influence, like I said before, it takes time. You have to invest most of your time in it, understanding what you want to do or what you want, because people are on internet for very many reasons. People are there for fun. Others mean business because they know what they are doing all right there. So it depends what you want to do. If someone joins internet, like posting those half naked pictures, asking for following, one, just know they don't know anything about digital marketing. You see, they don't know how it is done or how it is supposed to work. So for example, if someone wants to build a good following, you have to be original, not so unique, but you have to be original. Don't, like you mentioned earlier, you don't have to abuse anyone or whatnot. And this is how you manage to, win those contracts from these big companies. For example, according to other.
Yeah, sorry, I think our host has been there, so proceed.
Yeah, so to your question, I think the influence I'm talking about, it is how people respond to what you're talking about. For example, people have influence in politics. people have influence in technology, people have influence in sports and so on. So you may find when someone of 3K following posts something on politics or on gender-based violence, their audience responds more to someone who is in sports compared to when he posts something on gender-based violence. That's what I'm talking about. So the company, so the company gives you contract according to that, because you may find or mental health awareness, something concerning health. So you will get contracts from, example, if for Shedu has a campaign that want to pass on, maybe a Reach a Hand Uganda, they have a campaign to pass on to the population, they will consider you first. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, thank you. So in other words, if I've got you right, if I post a photo of, you know, a half-naked photo, and then because of that, I get a large following. That large following may not be very responsive to causes I may want to push. But I see Pesh's hand is up. I think she wants to speak to this. Pesh.
So on the issue of posting half-naked photos, I believe that if someone is targeting only fans or Pornhub as their client, of course that's their way that they're going to call.
True.
If someone is targeting a lingerie shop where they're going to be posting bras and whatnot, of course they're going to be getting, that is their strategy. But if you're going to be targeting, like what she said, if you're going to be targeting Reach a Hand, definitely you would have to be talking about the things that Reach a Hand talks about, things to do with sexual reproductive health and whatnot. So I wouldn't say that people who post half-naked photos are completely devious of how digital marketing works. I think that's their strategy. If your strategy is you posting naked photos of you, good for you. I mean, if you are targeting porn sites, that is okay for you. But if you're not, then it doesn't work, like he said. I wanted to clarify something about our conversation. I believe people are going to confuse influencing digital marketing as e-commerce. Influencers are service providers, so we are part of e-commerce, but we are not e-commerce. That has to be very clear. We are giving a service. I have created myself as a brand, same as Ivan, so he's giving the service. He has tapped into the e-commerce as a service provider. The same way a TV station would do that. However, e-commerce sites are those who, so basically we are part of the e-commerce sites that are giving out services. That has to be very clear. So you joining e-commerce, you don't have to specifically be an influencer. You could be a shop owner, you could be a farmer, you could be a teacher who's giving a service or selling goods online. Yeah, I wanted to clarify on that.
Wow, perfect. Thank you for that clarification. In fact, when we put out the poster, part of the feedback we got from some of our viewers was that the panel was too heavy on influencers. Yeah, but this conversation is going to keep moving. We are just starting, so we shall make sure everyone in the space is heard. But thank you for that clarification, and also the previous clarification that you may see someone posting a half-naked photo. Don't judge them. Maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they're targeting something else from what you see. So, Blessing, you seem to have now stabilized. I don't know if you had the question that's on the table. We are asking a young person watching this who is unemployed, interested in joining e-commerce, where can they start? Maybe they have a product or they have a service. Where can they start?
Thank you so much, Matanda. Please confirm if you can hear me, because my network has been a bit unstable.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, and we can see you.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So where do we start from if you're a young person and you are hearing this conversation? The first thing is that you need to do research. Research is very important. You know, we wake up in the morning, and because another person is doing this thing and is very successful at it, we feel like it's something that, you know, you can search immediately, get into the system, Excel, buy cars, buy jets, and, you know, get on with your life. But there's a lot of research and content that you need before you even start that product that you think you have. I have one product, I started from one shoe. What research have you made about it? Because for me, I believe that for you to be able to even benefit from any commerce, just like e-commerce, you need to be able to identify a need in the society and be able to address that need that is there. For example, if you realize that there are very many people that are asking for, you know, delivery services now because they are stuck at home, then you isolate areas that you think you can focus on. Like, you start small, that's what I mean. You cannot say that for me now I cover the rest of Uganda, or I moved to East Africa when you started yesterday. That is not very possible. For a young person who might not be financially stable, who might not have the resources, who might not have the means and the marketing strategies that is needed. So what you do is that you say that since I have identified this need, and this is what I need to address, then I'm going to start with people that are around me. Those people that are around you can be your friends, can be your family, can be your neighbors, or even strangers that you meet on Facebook. You make sure that whatever you're able to deliver in a small content is of a good quality, that if I received your product, tomorrow I'm going to be recommending you for another gig, I'm going to be recommending you for a contract, for a tender, and it grows and gets bigger and better. After doing that, then you work on your social media handles. I know that most of us do not even have physical offices that we can sell our goods. Maybe some of us are doing the production from home, or some of us are doing the packaging from home. We're not able to bring people into our workspace, but we can utilize the spaces that are available to be able to advertise for our goods. So you're building a brand, you do a social media platform, create it, identify the basics that you need to know about running the system. You might not be able to afford an influencer at this time, because I know that they come in at a particular cost. Pesh might tell you that you have to pay me 700,000, 1 million, 5 million to be able to run your social media handles. But for me, at that time, I cannot afford to do that. But I can talk to a friend who talks to a friend, and I tell them, you like my page, kindly give me feedback on what I'm doing on my page, so that when people go to view my pages, people go to view the products that you post, have negative feedback, it is constructed. Before you know, you're able to supply.
You could maybe turn off your video, because we really didn't hear the last bits of your presentation. At the point when you talked about affordability of an influencer and how
Okay, so are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, better.
All right, thank you so much. So like I was saying, you might not be able to afford people that should run your systems, but you can tap into your own skill. Learning is a process. We learn 1 or 2 things on a basis. There are books online, there are talks everywhere that teach you how to run your own social media handles, how to separate your personal life with your business life. Because at the end of the day, we young people have a habit, we forget that we're running our systems, then we comment on particular, like I will give an example of someone who said that you post a naked picture of someone, then a social media handle, oh my God, I like your thighs. Now that becomes a problem, because then you are not separating your personal life with your feedback that you're giving as a business. And if I'm following you and I'm not comfortable with that picture, before you know it, I will unfollow you. Before you know it, I'll not give you business. But it takes steps. I've realized that very many junior, or what I can call upcoming industries or companies, are taking over from the very old other industries. It's because they have focused on what they think they can derive market from. And it is true. Someone has said that Uganda is not entirely online. Yeah, that is very true. It's not entirely online. But people that matter are actually online. There's someone who has a Twitter handle that is going to identify what you're selling, and they need it. It doesn't have to be that you're selling a jet. It can be that you're selling maybe shirts or you're selling trousers, and that person who's in an office needs trousers. It can be that you're dry cleaning and that person needs dry cleaning. So there's always someone who's going to identify you. There's someone who's going to recommend you. There's someone who's going to push you. So you can start with the little that you have, open an account, or apart from the website, that would at least cost you maybe 250 or 300 for the start. Those other channels are actually free of charge. Managing them free of charge, taking very nice pictures. You just have to borrow a phone. If you don't have an iPhone that takes very nice pictures, borrow a phone from your friend, take very nice pictures, post them, put photo credits so that they're not stolen and someone is deriving from your work. And then build the content daily by daily. Before you know it, at the end of the year, you will have grown in the line that you want them to take you as, and then you'll be able to grow as an individual. It needs a lot of investment with time, and maybe it could need less money, but with time, information, content, and being able to deliver what you promised to deliver. Actually, it's called discipline, but eventually you grow into the kind of maybe a business person, and maybe a service provider, or maybe that particular concept that is needed in a business with time. So we just need to be patient and build our brands as young people. Over to you, Matanda.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that free research for our viewers of the Youth Roundtable. Paul Webbs, speak to our young people.
Well, thank you very much, moderator. To the young people that I always meet and that I've always met before on such occasions, I always tell them to always have passion for this game, because really you can't just come without passion, because it is only passion that drives you to buy that gadget, expensive iPhone, buy data every day or every week or monthly or even annually. It is only passion that keeps you awake to create content that will create believability of the client you're trying to target. So I believe passion is also a good contributor to this if you want to become an influencer or do online marketing as a big brand. There's also being confident about looking for the potential following, the good follow base. The followership, like Evan talked about earlier on, the kind of followership that one needs to prove is one that will always believe in the products they're selling. So always have a niche of what you're going to market, or have a niche of whatever you're trying to put out there on the plate. If you do not have a niche for whatever you're marketing, then the believability levels will always drop, and the following that you're trying to garner will always deviate from whatever you're trying to channel them into. So I believe if you want to be an influencer, also identify your niche. If, like they always say these days, that get your hustle, choose a hustle. Like if you're a politician, stick to politics. Like throw content of politics, share politically, so that the kind of following that you have will be inclined to the politics that you're always posting about. So having a niche of what deciding to do is also very paramount, and I believe influencers out there, me inclusive. And then thirdly, I would encourage the influencer who is planning to become an influencer, a young person out there who is planning to become an influencer like some of the people on this platform. I would encourage them to learn and do research about what they're about to dive into. You just don't come, like they say, make research. Please do research. Content is very paramount, because if you have good content, then you have the backup of research. If you not research about that iPhone, how are you going to put out the specifications that are correct about the particular iPhone you're selling online? So making research and then doing good content is very paramount as well. I would advise that if they want to, rip from the e-commerce game.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. I will cross to another Paul, Muyobo.
Yes, I think it starts with, I'll probably just share I'll share an example based off of me. I have a background of digital marketing. I am actually a digital marketer, but I started out as an IT specialist. I finished university, started out as an IT specialist, had 1 or 2 jobs as an intern doing ICT, then did ICT for some NGO. But then for me to grow in the ICT field, there was a lot that was required of me. I had to be certified, and it took a lot of money. But then at the time, there was a new emerging field that I could tap into, and it was digital marketing. So I started learning about what digital marketing is, what was needed of me as a digital marketing. I wanted to become a digital marketing professional, and over time I started, joining circles that promote digital marketing. I even started doing online courses in digital marketing, because for you to have an all-around 360-degree view of digital marketing, I had to take a class, learned a few basics of digital marketing, and then learned that the internet provides a lot of opportunities, and one of them, which is really taking center stage, is digital marketing. And learned that, okay, in digital marketing, you can specialize. There are some of our panelists here who are influencers, but then there's a lot more to digital marketing than just being an influencer. There are content creators. You can become an analyst, data analyst. You can become a media buyer, and so many other. You can become an online PR specialist for digital. There are many areas of digital marketing, apart from influencing, which people can take up. So you as a person that is interested, or as a young person that wants to join the digital marketing field, you need to, of course, find a circle, of like-minded people and learn from them. You don't just wake up one day and all of a sudden become the biggest influencer. And then the biggest thing that drives digital marketing is content. So learn, read, research, and then pick a niche. You can't be a person that is all over the place. If you're into e-commerce, there's around e-commerce too. What kind of content works for e-commerce? If you're a travel, if you want to go into if I travel to some of these places, if you want to become like a travel influencer, if you want to become like a high-end influencer, because for influencer marketing, there are different types. You can become a micro, you can become a macro, or an amplifier influencer. So whichever, and then the macro influencers are people like journalists, people like celebrities. Those already made it, maybe in the music industry, and then influencing is just like a part-time. But then most of the young people can become a micro influencer or an amplifier influencer. So learn and relearn and adapt, and of course don't give up. At the beginning things might be hard, because the influencers that have actually made it, the top influencers, will not want to associate with you, or what in our Twitter spaces has been called small accounts. You may be a small account, and then the big accounts don't want to associate with you, and they don't want to retweet your content. But if you're consistent, if you're resilient, I'm sure you can make it. And then, of course, invest time in learning the basic social media etiquette. There's such a thing as social media etiquette. If you're going to influence for a brand, you should be seen as someone that can represent a brand in the way that, in a way that can portray the brand. So it takes a lot of personal discipline. It takes a lot of learning, rest of technology, influencers or TikTok influencers and things like that. It's not about just the numbers, but it is also, it's a whole science. It's a whole, I keep telling people that the future of marketing is digital. So you as a young person, how are you strategizing or how are you tapping into this whole upcoming new thing that is going to sweep the entire world, digital marketing? Because more and more companies, especially now that we're in a pandemic, you'll find that most companies, their marketing budget has gone online. That means that more companies are looking for influencers, more companies are looking for online content creators, more companies are looking for online PR professionals. So you, as a young person, need to identify, face, and capitalize on that, develop in that area, and eventually pull your attend these events. Be someone that is ready to learn, because you cannot in a field of digital marketing, there are always new things. So adapt, relearn, and you will succeed eventually. There's a saying that says, if you stay at the barber shop long enough, you will get a haircut. You will, so as long as you keep at it, you will eventually make it. Is what my advice is to the young people.
Okay, thank you very much. You all have been a very amazing panel. It's not yet done. I'm still going to give each one of you less than a minute. Just use a few seconds for parting shots. If there is anything you maybe had prepared to say that my leading questions have not led you to, or, just consider this as a closing remark. What do you have to say, whether it's a comment on e-commerce or digital marketing or what, just a euphemism, just throw something to us as your closing remark. Thank you, and I'm going to start with Pesh Ahumuza. Pesh, are you there? Pesh, please unmute, and maybe as she does that, we can get your parting shot, Evans.
Okay, Mr. Matanda, the moderator, thank you. I would like to thank each and everyone who has been here and everyone who is listening in. I've really learned a lot. I've really learned a lot, and this world is just there. We are just there to learn. So I have learned a lot, and my closing remark, I think it should on e-marketing or e-commerce. I think the government should come in with strict laws to protect both parties, both the consumers and the sellers. I think it should come in with a strict law. Maybe if a consumer orders for something and at the end of the day is given something different, how does the law says about that? How does the consumer tackle that issue when the real seller does not want to refund either the real product or the money? So the government should come in if we are going to go with this e-commerce or to grow there. That's it, and I'd like to thank each and everyone. That is.
Thank you very much, Evans. Like Blessing said, the law, the basic law is actually there. The Electronic Transactions Act provides for a lot of those things on, having a policy on delivery, on refunds, and on the goods fitting the description. So thank you. Government needs to implement. such laws and maybe bring more others that are stricter. Yes, I see that Pesh, you're back. Earlier on, I'd asked that you give us your parting shot.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of this panel, and also I would like to appreciate my fellow panelists because I've learned so much from them. On the issue of like what Evans has said, that we need the government to step up. There's a time they were talking about how to tax influencers, basically people who are using platforms, bloggers and whatnot. But how are you going to tax these people when there is nothing to protect them from people who don't pay them? You get my point? You are an influencer, you have clients who are not paying you, but the first thing the government is thinking about is taxing you, which is quite unfair. It's the same thing with people who have other businesses online. The government needs to come in and be able to protect the consumers and the sellers. It has to, before they think about taxing, because they cannot earn from something that they are not actually investing in. And that is their way of investing in e-commerce, being able to protect us. For people who are planning to launch themselves in this space, for instance, if you have had a business for a very long time, but now you want to bring it online, please do your research. Don't, like what they're usually saying online, don't just come for, go and do your research and be able to learn from the other people who came before you, because I highly doubt there is anything new you're going to do that other people haven't done. In most cases, someone else, it might not be in Uganda, but someone else out there has already done it. So it's very important for you to do your research and not do the same mistakes that they did. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Pesh, for that closing remark. To you, Paul Webbs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matanda. My parting shot is not very far-fetched, of course, within the context of the topic. Uganda has the youngest population, apparently. And the people owning the jobs, those are the corporate jobs and, the high technical jobs that are, in the government and the private sector. So the young person out there watching this probably right now that would want to, that is jobless, like most of us are. I would just advise them to, hop onto the bus. They're just passed out in a few. But I believe e-commerce is a thing apparently. We shall accept it or deny, but apparently this is the only way to go. Because if you are supposed to stay at home and keep safe and avoid the contact of coronavirus, and you're planning to eat something and the only platform is online, then it means we only have one option apparently. Let's stay home safe, let's sanitize, let's observe the SOPs and use online channels to access whatever we need to access. For the upcoming marketer or influencer, I would believe that you're probably a youth in my age bracket, because I realized that with a small strategy that was carried out a couple of months ago, the older people are against digital marketing and social media as such. So we remain in this bus alone. We have to embrace it. Let's adopt it and let's embrace it with passion. Let's learn, let's be willing to learn and unlearn and relearn. If time gives us the opportunity, let's utilize it, because digital marketing and e-commerce are the things that are going to now help us in the next few years, apparently, because with the corona and pandemic not going anywhere, we are left with one option. So I believe if somebody is out there and probably have access to internet and a smartphone, they can also take this opportunity, and also embrace digital marketing and e-commerce. Those could be my parting shots, apparently. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, for that parting shot. To you, Blessing, what is your parting shot? Well, Blessing seems to be having some challenges. So, Paul, maybe you can take the baton as we wait for her.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matanda. The first thing that I wanted to clarify is that.
Sorry, you may have again to switch off your video. The network is demonstrating to us the challenges of e-commerce.
Okay, I've switched on to a different video. Different network. Am I being heard now?
Yes, clear.
Thank you so much. So I was saying, my parting shots, just two things. The first thing is that the government can only protect you if you move from the informal sector to the formal sector. We already know that the government will not know that you're carrying out business. They will not know that you are in a contract to do particular work for an individual if you're not registered with them. So even if they came up with policies, with laws, with amendments, they will only be for the benefit of people that have actually officially registered with URSB or maybe gone through the different procedural registrations that are required. So I realize that most of the people that are doing online business and maybe other e-commerce businesses, they might not be formally registered. I think that's a discussion for another day, but it's something that young people would want to know, that the government can only protect those that are within the circle of recognition. Then the other bit is that you need to know that even if you're doing e-commerce business and specifically for influencers online and people that are doing online trading, they need to be able to enter recognizable contracts. You don't assume that just because you're doing work for 1, 2, 3, 4 and they have refused to pay you, you will run and seek recourse when there's no official contract that has been signed between you and the other party that you're providing the service to. Lastly, maybe to just go off, I just wanted to hint on the thing of being a player in the e-commerce. I know that there are very many people that are not directly in business, but they are players in the e-commerce. So you need to be able to do something that the computer is not able to do. Because when we are talking about e-commerce, you're talking about replacement of individuals, of workload. For example, work that is now being done by over 100 people in organizations, in companies, and what they're replacing that. Online marketing, they can do online trading, they can do deliveries, they can do so many things. So we need to be able to research further as young people on how best we can remain employable, even when we are trying to embrace e-commerce in Uganda today. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun and a lot of learning, and I hope this conversation can keep going on and on until we are able to appreciate e-commerce in Uganda, because it's very productive.
Thank you very much, Blessing, for that parting shot. And finally, to you, Paul Muyobo. Paul?
Thank you, CCG, for arranging this wonderful meeting. And thank you to all the panelists for all the wonderful the conversation that we've had. It's been enriching and enlightening. My parting shots would be to the government to create more favorable policies that will enable more and more people to embrace the digital world, to embrace the use of the internet, and then eventually to bridge the digital divide, because there are many people that are still cut off from the internet because of one reason or the other. To the youth out there, they need to recognize that e-commerce or the internet provides a very unique and special opportunity for them to be able to contribute not only to their pockets, but also to the global village, because the internet makes that possible. The rates of unemployment in the country are still high, but the internet and digital marketing provides a way out of this unemployment. So they need to seize the opportunities as they come. They need to position themselves, and eventually they will make it. I thank you and have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, my panel. You have been amazing. Thank you for taking out time to share with us your knowledge and experience. To our viewers and those stakeholders out there, I tell you that Africa and Uganda missed out on the first revolution, which saw mechanization, steam, and water power. We missed out on the second industrial revolution, which saw mass production and electricity. We missed out on the third revolution. Part of the conversation we are having is around that's electronic and IT systems and automation. And now the fourth industrial revolution is upon us, which is seeing a merger in the cyber and physical systems. We cannot afford to always remain on the fringes. We have to organize ourselves and work towards offering leadership such that the third and fourth revolutions also do not leave us behind. Maybe that way we shall find an ultimate panacea for the challenges we have of unemployment and of underemployment, and be able to modernize our country and move away from being a backward peasant society to a modern, vibrant and prosperous country. I thank you. And here at the Youth Roundtable, we believe that through these conversations, we are able to identify solutions for our challenges and build a better country for God and my country. Administration, are you there? If you have an administrative announcements, you could make them such that we
thank you very much, Matanda, and thank you everyone for joining in. Paul, Blessing, Pesh, Stacks, Paul Webbs. Unfortunately, Joy couldn't make it because she was short of connectivity. So the revolution might leave her, and she's a digital influencer. So I don't know how well she does her business. So that's a check for onto the system and everything that we use to be able to survive. This space was ensured that we try as much as possible to bring on you, the sector players, you who are always amplifying other people's voices. So we decided as the organization to give space for you, the actors, to also share your thoughts before we expand this conversation to other players. So I thank you for sharing your thoughts. I thank you for being on this long. But like I asked you earlier, you need to share with me your information that I can we can do data reimbursement. For now, we thank you from CCG and of course with the moderator. Thank you very much, and we keep the conversation going. You can share the artwork in your spaces and invite people to follow this discussion tomorrow. And the link will be available by then.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah.